Hey guys, I'm sorry that I'm coming to you so late with this, but I want to make sure that you had this in video form. Did go over this in class a couple days, but just in case, and that way there's no questions. So you're going to have two packets. You know this. One starts with testable questions, and then one starts with science fair planning packet. Okay, so those are your two packets. This packet right here is your like your guide. So you're filling this out for your project, okay? And this packet right here is the information, and it explains to you how to do the various things in the other packet, okay? So I'm going to start at the beginning, and you can skip ahead. If you have this stuff, just skip ahead to what you don't have. But I'm going to go through it just one more time, just in case, because we have kind of been going through this kind of fast, okay? All right, so if you have your testable question packet, I'm going to go through it from the beginning, okay? So page number 1, the very beginning. All right, so one of the main things for your experiment that you're going to be focusing on is a testable question, okay? So we need to determine, okay, what is a testable question? So there's two things that determine if it is. Okay, number one, you can complete a science experiment to answer it. Okay, so you need to be able to do a science experiment to answer your testable question. If you cannot do it, then it is not a testable question. Okay, certain questions don't count as testable questions, like why questions. So if I ask the question, why is the sky blue? That's not a testable question. Okay, you cannot, and we're going to talk about in just a minute here with introducing variables. You cannot introduce a variable to change the color of the sky. Okay, so you're going to have to come up with, on your experiment, you're going to have to come up with variables that will affect the outcome of your experiment. Okay, that will just give you a more settled answer. So why questions are not going to be allowed. Okay, then yes or no questions. Okay, yes or no, that's a blank there. Yes or no. Those kinds of questions like, is the sky blue? Well, I mean, okay, yes it is. And you don't need to conduct an experiment to determine if it is or not, right? Okay, then opinion questions is the third kind of question that is not a testable question. Okay, so I believe the sky is blue. Okay, well, fine. That's not a scientific question. All right, then number 2, the question is feasible, which means it's realistic. Okay, do you have enough money? Do you have enough time to complete your experiment? And then you need to make sure your experiment is not dangerous. Okay, so somebody mentioned to me they were looking at doing like a steam engine, building a steam engine. Well, number 1, okay, you have to figure out what is your testable question. So you can't just ask, I'm not picking on this person, but you can't just ask, can an engine run on steam? That's a yes or no question, right? You can't, that doesn't count as a scientific question. Okay, so, and also that might be a little bit hard to procure the elements that you'll need for that. And then, what is the variable that you're going to be introducing later on that will change your results and show you a little bit more about your experiment. Okay, so on the first page there, we're still on the first page, and this is the part where it says examples, and we're going to do this together. So first example question, is the sky blue? Is that testable or not testable? And circle the one that you think it is, and the correct answer is not testable, right? And because it is a yes or no question, and we know that those are not scientific questions. Number 2, how does the number of Mentos affect how high Diet Coke goes? All right, so is that testable or not testable? That is testable. All right, so how questions or when questions, those are great. Those are great scientific questions. Is or why questions are not testable questions, okay? All right, so you can do an experiment to test how high Coke goes when you put Mentos in the Coke, all right? And your variable could be the number of Mentos that you put in the Coke, or the size of the bottle of Coke. You could do a 2 liter, you could do a 16 ounce, 32 ounce, whatever you wanted to do. Okay, so those are variables that you could be thinking about if that was your experiment. All right, number 3, why do dogs shed their fur? Okay, remember we said why questions are not testable questions, and that's the reason why. Okay, how does drinking, number 4, how does drinking different chemicals affect a person's health? Okay, so that is a scientific question. However, it is not an experiment that you should do. Okay, you should not be drinking different chemicals and finding out how it affects your body. That's not a scientific experiment that we want to be a part of. Okay, so that's not testable, but it's too dangerous. Okay. All right, that's number 4. Number 5, how does the speed that you are running affect your heart rate? This is a great experiment. Someone did this last year, and it's a phenomenal one because the person that did it did different things like sat in a sauna and then ran, or they ran a bunch and then took like a 30-second break and then, got back down to resting heart rate, ran a bunch and then ran for like a minute, right? So there's a lot of different variables that you could include in that, and that is a great, if you have an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, whatever kind of smart watch that tracks your heart rate, that's a fantastic experiment. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the back side of that same page. Okay. And these are going to be all practice questions for you. And so I want you to read through these questions and circle testable, not testable. And then if it is, tell me why it is. If it's not, tell me why it's not. Okay. So you're going to do that whole page. All right. So this whole page you're going to do. And I just gave you the answers right there. All right. Shouldn't have done that. All right. Now, let's see. So let's go to your planning packet. This is for your experiment. And so before you jump into this, you're going to go to sciencebuddies.org, and there is literally hundreds of experiments and ideas that they give you. And so if you have other ideas, you're more than welcome to use those. Just remember that you're going to need to be able to insert a variable into your experiment, and then also you're going to need to come up with a testable question. Okay, so for this planning packet, if you're looking at the back of that front page, okay, so front page, back of it, top 3 questions. And so you're going to write 3 questions that might work for, all 3 would work for your testable question. Okay, so all 3 need to be legitimate testable questions for the experiment that you chose. And then you're going to pick one of those and put that in your testable question lines right there. Okay, and then answer the questions. What is your reason for asking this question? What are you trying to discover? So give me like the overarching general view of your experiment. Why do you want to do that? Okay. All right, now we're going to go back to your other packet. Okay, and the page looks just like this. Background research. I think it's backwards. I'm sorry if it is. This video is getting long, so we're going to hustle through this, okay? Background research. All right. Research is necessary so that you know how to design and understand your experiment. Okay, so you have done, this is the part where you are pros at this. Okay, you've done this for your research project. You found sources, you did all that. So you're going to do really well at this because you've already had practice at it. Okay, so we went over this in class, but you take your testable question, which is that sentence right there. Okay, how does a seed's shape affect how far it will travel in wind? That's the practice testable question that we're going to work with for just a moment here. Okay, you're going to read it. Then in step 1, you're going to write down some keywords from that question. So you look specifically at the question and you say, what are the keywords that form this question, and which words can I use to find information about it? Okay, so the question again, how does a seed shape affect how far it will travel in the wind? All right, so immediately, we're talking about seeds, right? So a seed would be a keyword from that question. Okay, travel would be another good word that you would use. Okay, wind, shape, Okay, those are all distance. Those are all words that that are key to this testable question. Okay, you come up with a bunch there. And step two, so that's step one. Step two, use your keywords to build some questions. So if you said seed, you could talk about okay, how many different kinds of seeds are there? If you had shape, you'd say okay, what different shapes do seeds come in? How fast does wind typically go across a farm? Those are questions that you could ask. And so come up with questions from your keywords that you're going to put into a search engine. Okay, then it talks about on step 3 your sources. Okay, so reliable sources. Remember, we talked about with our research papers, it needs to have two things: an author and a publishing date. Okay, an author and a publishing date. That's what we care about. You're going to look for, you're going to stay away from your online encyclopedias like Wikipedia, Britannica, okay, blogs, ask.com. Those are not reliable sources. And also, we're obviously, you know this, we're staying away from ChatGPT and other AI because we don't want to cheat, right? We're going to do this the right way. So, does the website look professional? Okay, is it opinion? Does it have an author? Those are questions you're going to ask yourself. Okay, and you're going to find 4 sources. And so it seems like a lot of pages, but really it's just a lot of information that they just printed from the internet. So this is a example, okay? And it asks, number 1, underneath that black box, it says, is this reliable or not? Okay, so you're going to answer, is it? And tell me why it is or it is not. All right, answer those questions. Do the same for all of these. So you got this page right here. That's another source that they want you to evaluate. Here's another source that they want you to evaluate. Okay, all the way to this page right here. Okay, now at the top of this page it says step 4. All right, so it gives you an example of what a source looks like and the information that you're going to need. So author, title of website, publishing date, date of access, that's the date that you found that source, and then the web address, okay? And then you give information that you found on each source underneath your sourcing, okay? All right. So, all right, that's it. Now you're going to go back to your planning packet, this one right here. And the part that says background research, okay, you are going to do the same thing that we just did. So get your testable question. Then you're going to write down the keywords right here. That's the keywords. Okay. Then you're going to write some questions that you can take from your keywords and form out questions and put those on these lines right here. Okay. Then you're going to fill out your source information. So you need to find 4 sources on your testable question and on your experiment. Okay, use the whole wide world of the internet, and then summarize. Okay, so maybe take 1 line from each source and put it here. Okay, all right, and I think that's it, you guys. Yes. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, we're going to spend a lot of time on this tomorrow, and I'm going to give you time to ask questions and to work on it, but then we also have to get into identifying your variable. And so, but the biggest thing is making sure that your question is a testable question. That is what tripped up our 6th graders last year the most. Sorry about my daughter. She's a psycho. But actually having a real testable question is one of the biggest struggles that we saw last year. And then identifying your variable. So those 2 things. So let's work hard on that. Make sure that you have those for tomorrow. And if you don't, we will work, but the more that you have, the better, okay? And we're going to be checking. Remember, I told you, we went through all this, and so we're going to check notebooks and make sure that you have everything that you need If I were you, I would get a folder and keep these packets in a folder like you did for your research paper. So keep them in a folder along with the other information that you're gathering, and then be preparing, because some of you are going to choose some lengthier experiments, and so you're going to need to be starting those not today, but pretty quickly. And so if I were you, I'd be gathering your resources now, okay? And make sure that you bring your packets every day. Every day, you bring your packets and have them in class. It doesn't help you if you don't have them. I'm going to give you time to work on it in class, but if you don't have it, then I can't help you, okay? All right. We'll talk tomorrow. See you guys, late start, and we'll see you at school. Bye.